We all suffer from art block. It's totally normal, unfortunately. But what I've found that gets me through it is getting inspired by other artists. Over the years, I've picked up books from artists that have inspired me and pushed me to make art. So I thought I'd share some of these with you if you'd like, and hopefully some of their art inspires you to make art. Okay, so today I thought we'd take a look at the work of Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema. I first discovered his work at the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles. He's from the Victorian era, and his style is part academic and part romantic. I bookmarked my favorite pages. This first one is called the Vintage Festival. Look at this thing. There's so much going on here. Let me zoom in so you can see. Look at the flowers in their hair, the skin tones, the draping of the cloth, the patterns on the dresses, and the weird face strap thingies. It's just so beautiful, isn't it? And there's more. There's depth to this piece too. You can go into it and there's a whole world back there. Look at that. There's a doorway with trees in the distance. And the architecture, it's gorgeous. It has atmosphere, light, character. Oh, and notice how the foreground characters have stronger contrast and more vivid color saturation so they stand out, whereas the background is less contrasty and the colors are muted, so it falls back. Okay, that was just the first one. Sorry, I got a little carried away, but isn't it just amazing? Okay, this one is called Sappho and Elsa. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. And according to the book, Sappho lived on the island of Lesbos in the 6th century BC with a company of girls dedicated to the cult of Aphrodite and the Muses. This is apparently where the word lesbian came from. The thing about Alma Tadema's work is, if you look at the painting, you're like, wow, that's a great painting. But then you really got to look at it and look at the detail. It's just so amazing. And the funny thing is, none of this is in my own work. I love looking at it, but unlike other artists I admire, I've never attempted to copy his style. This one is called The Parting Kiss, and apparently it was Alma Tadema's favorite painting. It depicts a woman kissing her daughter farewell as she heads off to the amphitheater. And I bet you're wondering what amphitheater, but there it is in the background. Look, can you imagine making art with that much depth, with that many layers? It's just amazing. Oh, and apparently the woman underneath the parasol was modeled by Alma Tadema's wife. This next one is Antony and Cleopatra. And again, it's just, I'm going to be saying this a lot. This is another beautiful piece. This is another beautiful piece. Just get used to it. So looking at art like this, it inspires me. And that's why I wanted to make this video, to hopefully inspire some of you. Oh, and look at this in the top left. Look at that ship. Isn't that amazing? Could you imagine spending that much time painting that? And that's just in the background, just over on the back left. Most people don't even notice it. Oh, I love this one. This one's called Expectations. I love its simplicity. You know, one thing I really love about it is the marble has warmth to it. Look at that. I couldn't find a high enough scan, so I'm not going to zoom in on this, but just take a moment and appreciate it. This one is called A Reading from Homer, and it's very similar to the Sappho and Elsa painting we saw earlier. I love how people used to sit around enthralled with someone reading something or playing music. I would personally be bored to death, but I love seeing it in paintings. I can't imagine the amount of time that Sir Alma Tadema put into these paintings. Like, I just noticed the details on this tambourine. And for the record, more detailed or more photorealistic doesn't make it any more art. The artistry is in the storytelling and the colors and the brush strokes. Okay, this one is called the Women of Amphisap. And by this point, I think you figured out that I know nothing about art history and I am completely just winging it. This painting is a whopping 4 feet by 6 feet. Apparently, this painting shows the morning after a celebration of Dionysus, the god of wine and ritual madness. That's a new one. I hadn't heard that one before. This celebration caused a group of women to wander into the city of Amphisap. And I guess the elder women watched over the younger women and protected them all night long and then fed them in the morning. That's so nice of them. And I just discovered that the original painting is at the Clark Museum in Massachusetts. So I will be making a trip there soon. Okay, this one is called, and I think at this point I'm just going to give up on trying to pronounce this stuff correctly, The Roses of Heliogabalus. Heliogabalus. Personally, I think I would have never picked up a paintbrush again after painting that many roses. Moving on, this one is called The Favorite Poet, and it's such a beautiful composition with one woman reading verses from a scroll while another listens dreamily. And for the record, if you read me The Hobbit, I will literally sit like this and stare off into space. Also, rolling those scrolls looks really tedious. Like, where do they keep them? Are there scroll shelves or something? This one is called A Kiss. As with pretty much everything else here, it's pretty, okay? It's pretty. Also, look how annoyed this little girl is. And this woman staring at us is kind of awkward. But other than that, another masterpiece, and it's very pretty. Oh, and there's nudity on the left, so don't look, kids. Did you just pause? Did you just pause and rewind? Donna's gonna kill me. This one is called Unconscious Rivals. So apparently in all of Alma Tadema's paintings, there's so much symbolism and so much to read into that you really do need to read up about this stuff. And you need to kind of get your information from a real art historian, not me. I'm just looking at this for the pretty pictures. Okay, this is it. This is my favorite painting of all time. This is the painting that introduced me to Alma Tadema, and it's called Spring, and I saw it in person at the J. Paul Getty, and it's huge, and there's just so much to it. Seriously, I could look at it all day. In fact, I'm just gonna sit here silently so you can just look at it for a bit. Okay, so if you ever get a chance to see this at the J. Paul Getty Museum, go and just spend some time in front of it. Moving on. All right, this one is called Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. More pretty people, more pretty dresses, lots of symbolism and hidden meanings, but all in all, just another gorgeous piece. This one is called Silver Favorites. The silver favorites actually refer to the little fish that the woman is feeding. Apparently, according to this book, Alma Tadema was having a real tough time with the composition and actually had to send a letter to apologize to the person who had commissioned the painting to say he just needed a little more time to work it out. Ask me no more. I actually studied this one in our 60 Days of Studying the Masters. The painting actually came with a quote from Tennyson. "Ask me no more, thy fate and mine are sealed. I strove against the stream, and all in vain. Let the great river take me to the main. No more, dear love, for at a touch I yield." And those are my favorite Alma Tadema paintings, at least from this book that I have. So I guess let's put it back on the shelf until next time, if there is one. So what'd you think? Pretty amazing, huh? I hope it helps, and I hope it inspires you to make art. And if you want me to do more, I have tons more books, and I'd be happy to show you. Thanks again.